Respect by listening. I've brought you some questions today, but first I'm going to answer the one that you already have, which is, what's the next 20 minutes with this guy going to do for me? And the answer to that is that the questions that I'm bringing to share with you today have answers that will help you in every aspect of your life. At work, at home, your health, your spiritual life, everything. Before we get started, I'd like to discuss the value of a question in relationship to the value of an answer. An answer is like reaching the dead end in a box canyon. There's nowhere else to go. You're at the final destination. But a question raises a whole new world of opportunity. A good question literally lifts you up above the dead-end canyon where you have a whole different perspective of the world. A world that's full of new potentials, new horizons, and new ideas. The first question I have today is, what's the foundation of all successful human relationships? The answer is respect. Which leads us to the next question. What is respect? We can answer that best by defining what disrespect is. And the ultimate disrespect is to not listen to someone, to totally ignore them. So now, by answering those questions, we've found that respect's the foundation and that listening is the key to respect. Every part of our lives as a human being is about our relationships. We simply can't exist alone. We weren't designed to function that way. In the forest, the redwoods are the only big trees that don't have taproots. They hold themselves up by clinging to each other through an intermeshed relationship of their roots. They're a lot like us that way. The only thing that can destroy them is the winds of life can blow them over. Sounds a lot like us, doesn't it? A baby human without touch will likely perish. All prisoners in solitary confinement will eventually go insane. We're all designed to interconnect. Technology and social media have only made this need more demanding as we type and tweet and Instagram and Facebook, trying to convert unlimited content into meaning. What does listening communicate? Well, the answer to that question is that we acknowledge another person's existence. A good lesson is the example of Norma Jean as Marilyn Monroe. As a child, she was in a difficult situation and didn't receive much attention. She came to believe that she was literally invisible. And when she matured, men started to notice her for new reasons. She came to believe that Marilyn Monroe was the only person in her that existed to other human beings, literally. And of course, the results were tragic. So, to give another person value by acknowledging their ideas and feelings are the key to our question. Peter Drucker said that the most important thing in communication is to hear what isn't being said. We all know about the importance of body language and tone in communication. But if you aren't listening, you will not hear that form of communication either. Ralph Nichols said, the most basic of all human needs is the need to be understood and to understand that people have listened to you. Why is listening so hard? Well, I believe the answer to that is because we're inherently self-focused creatures. The only voice in life we cannot silence or walk away from is our own. And our minds run at a faster speed than our ears. It's also because we want to be the center of attention. One of the things it takes to be an effective listener is a positive self-image. We have to either get comfortable making the world not all about us, or we have to learn self-discipline, or both. Once we have an opinion on something, we believe we know more than anyone else, and we close the door on additional facts. August Lohman said, "Such is the stuff which fools are made of." It takes patience to listen. A lot of times, we can gain real insights by learning the history of a particular word. The root of our word patience, pati, means to suffer or endure. The word was often used in Old English as to suffer patience, as a verb. When you're listening to somebody completely, attentively, then you're listening not only to the words, but also the feeling of what is being conveyed, to the whole of it, not part of it. That thought by Jindal Kashmira. Other thinkers have shared thoughts like these. The quieter you become, the more you can hear. Or, no one is as deaf as the man who will not listen. The Dalai Lama shared these words. When you talk, you're only repeating what you already know. But if you listen, you may learn something new. Dr. John Gottman offered these guidelines for active listening. To focus on being interested, not being interesting. Start by asking questions. Look for commonalities between you and the person speaking. Tune in with all your attention. Communicate your listening with a nod or sound. Paraphrase what the speaker says. Validate the speaker's emotions. Maintain eye contact. Let go of your own agenda. And turn off the TV and the phone. Actually, we all know how to listen already. But we don't unless we perceive that it's to our own advantage. So the real issue is one of attitude and discipline. The mechanical devices that prevent the listening process are obviously the remote control, the iPad, or the iPhone. Don't think that turning down the volume on a big game that's on TV is a successful strategy for listening. It's not. Any more than that common phrase we all get in the middle of a point we're making when our colleague says, as they reach for their phone, "I have to take this call." Actually, there's only two people in the world that have to take a call. One's the president if the Pentagon's calling, and the other is a convict who got to eat whatever he wanted for dinner and is hoping that the governor will call. The world will continue without all of us to hold its orbit for a few minutes. Nobody is that important. You might remember Stephen Covey's principles of waste with items that fall into the category of urgent and unimportant. Now, the next question is, what happens when you start listening? Well, when you start listening and respecting people by doing that, if you're a business, and listen to your customers, your business will prosper. Your family life will improve, and every close relationship will improve. Even relationships that's strained or bad will be made better with respect by listening. No matter what goes wrong in any relationship, it can be improved by going back to the concept of respect by listening. What about a relationship that's awkward? Like going to see a friend that's in a hospital dying, or enduring clinical depression, or has suffered some overwhelming loss. We often don't go or call because we don't know what to say. When we do call, our words are full of useless and hurtful cliches. Now here's a great question. What would happen if we started listening to each other? As an individual person, as an organization or a family, as a nation, in the world, in the balance of our relationship with the other animals on this planet, in our health, in our stewardship of the earth. Let your imagination go there for a while. What would happen if we all started respecting each other by really listening to each other? What would life in our world be like? I'm not a mystic or mentalist performer, but I can tell each one of you I already know who your best friend is right now. Not by their name, but by their description. It's the person or the animal that listens to you the best in life. There was a great story many years ago on the news program 60 Minutes. They had a feature about bigamy. And the story was about a man who had been married to 14 women simultaneously. When I heard that, I was expecting a very flashy Don Juan type of a guy and a group of silver-haired, lonely, elderly women that had fallen to his victim. However, that was a long ways from reality. The man was middle-aged, about 60 pounds overweight, bald, less than average looking, and less than average in every way possible. The big surprise came, though, when they showed the women that he was married to. They were all in their mid-30s or early 40s, all well-educated, professional women whose physical appearance was substantially above average. They were trim and sharply dressed and groomed. All were successful in their careers and in their finances. An even bigger surprise was that a third of the women, after finding out about their bigamous husband, still loved him and hoped he would come back to them alone. The majority of the women didn't want to press charges. The reporter asked what I thought was a brilliant question. When she asked the man, in a world where many attractive, good-looking people are struggling to find love once in a lifetime, even after all the dating websites and technology that we've applied, how could a rather plain man get 14 women to fall in love with him? To the point that even after finding out what he did, they don't want to press charges. The man dodged the question at first, and then when pressed by the reporter, responded in a dismissive tone. How do you make 14 women fall in love with you? That's easy. All you have to do is listen to them. Think about that. All you have to do is listen to them. So, to make every relationship in your life better, which will make your entire life better, remember that the foundation of all successful human relationships is respect. And listening is the cornerstone of respect. Consider respect by listening. One last thing. My name is Julian Codding. If you were listening, now you know that.